Good morning. What a privilege it is that we get to start our Sunday morning enveloped in such beauty. Thank you, Karina and Dale and the Unity Chorus for that enveloping in such beauty. So happy Pride Month, right? This month we celebrate the courage, the dedication, all the work that so many LGBTQ people have had to do in order to fight for the rights to be who we are, to feel, to be authentically ourselves. Like, who am I, right? And what am I doing here? Like, that is the question, the existential question. And it's a universal question. It's not just one that LGBTQ people have to ask ourselves at some point. Maybe we get a head start in asking that question because we have to ask it, many of us at a young age. As we search for that meaning, as we search for that self-acceptance that we all eventually want. For me, it was definitely a matter of survival, to come to terms with my authentic expression. And in the same way that the LGBTQ community exemplifies that resilience, and that's what we celebrate, that authenticity. That's what we celebrate this month, that unwavering commitment to be who we are, to be authentically ourselves. Each of us, no matter how we express our love, how we express our passion, is called to the same. Right? So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Because authenticity is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it mean, right? What does it mean to be authentic? And as we were alluding to in the guided meditation, a lot of us wear masks, right? We're this way at work, this way with our parents, this way with our kids, this way with our lovers or spouses, this way with our friends. Exhausting, right? We exhaust ourselves in the process, having to remember who we are and what we said and how we expressed ourselves. How much more simple, what a relief, just to be who we are, wherever we are. And of course, retaining choice, right? We're not stupid about this. We always retain choice about what we say and how much and when and where and to whom. So it's not about that. It's that no matter what we choose to express and when, we get to be who we are wherever we are. Such freedom and such power that comes from that. Because we pay a high price for being inauthentic. It's a high price to pay. We spend a lot of energy, right, being all those things and remembering all those things. So much more easy to be aligned in our values and our expression. Aligned in a congruent way so that what we say and how we are in the world, how we express ourselves in the world is congruent with, is aligned with what we believe and think and our values inside. So that's where the freedom lies. That's where our power lies, ultimately, when we're able to express that in that way. So let's talk about some of the prices that what is the cost to us when we're not authentic? And part of it, in addition to the exhaustion and the energy expenditure, I think even a worse price that we pay is that we start losing credibility with ourselves. That is... We stop trusting ourselves. We begin to question ourselves. And when we have that relationship with ourselves that is not established and in trust, it's like that reflects, that ripples out and starts to show up in all of our relationships in all different aspects of life. So critically important that we reclaim that sense of being authentically who we are. We also let our power leak. Right? Whenever we're withholding ourselves, whenever we're saying yes, when inside we really feel no, right? That's sabotaging ourselves. That's letting our innate sense of power just drift away. We're giving our power away. And tragically, a lot of times we're giving our power away to people who have even less of a clue. Like, yikes. Which, of course, it brings about inner conflict, right? Because there's our authentic self is not aligned with how we're showing up. So that's going to create a yucky feeling inside of us. There's no way to get away from that. And we can act a certain way and put on a great face, but deep down inside, we can't fool ourselves. We might even be able to fool others some of the time, but deep down inside, we're not going to fool ourselves. And that's not a good feeling. Which, of course, all of that is going to have a negative impact on our relationships, right? If we're not showing if we're not showing up authentically in the world, whatever we get back is going to be that, right? It's like water seeking its own level. Like, that's what we're showing ourselves inauthentically. That's what's going to be mirrored back to us by life. So even more dissatisfaction and surface living. Right? That's another one of the prices that we pay for inauthenticity. And recent studies have discovered that at the core of all addictions is a longing for connection. So when we show up inauthentically, we're exiling ourselves to a place of surface living and surface connections. Not a good strategy. Not a good strategy. And we end up feeling an existential dissatisfaction as a result of all this. Right, so that's the price we pay. Let's talk about the benefits of being authentic. Why must we be authentic? By being true to ourselves, we can experience greater self-acceptance, inner peace, and the meaningful connections that we long for. We also unleash our power authentically, right? Soulful power, authentic power has to come from realness. It can't come from fakeness. And the thing is that in our authentic expression is our fulfillment, right? Our happiness. Like, I know everybody here, well, most of us, maybe your daughter maybe hasn't realized this yet, but we have all realized that there isn't anybody out there who's going to make us happy. And it's not their job to, right? How unfair to put that responsibility, you are going to make me happy. It's a big job, right? So, and we've also realized that no amount of success, worldly success, no amount of money is going to make us happy either. How many more examples do we need of celebrities, leaders who have all the money, all the power you could ever want, and they're miserable and thin-skinned, and one tweet sends them into a tailspin. Our fulfillment can only come from giving expression to that unique human potential, right? There isn't anyone else in this universe or any other universe, for that matter, who has the same genetics, the same set of experiences that make each one of us unique. If we don't give expression to that, guess what? Ain't nobody else going to do it. So that's the mandate that we have as human beings, to give expression to that unique human potential. So all of this begs the question, who are we? Right? Who are we authentically? Right? Here's who we are. We are cosmic beings. We are star beings. Right? And this isn't poetic, new agey woo-woo stuff. Scientists tell us that more than 99.999% of the atoms in our body are exactly the same atoms that are found in the stars. So that we are literally made of star stuff. We are literally star beings. And here's one of the concepts that I love. It's from a book called The Universe is a Green Dragon by Brian Swimme. And he's a physicist and a cosmologist, and he applies some of the principles that govern the cosmos to the human experience. Because guess what? Much to the surprise of some humans, we're part of the cosmos. So we're ruled by the same principles that govern the stars. So he talks about one that he named cosmic generosity. And he talks about the generosity of a supernova, that in blowing up, in giving up its life, in giving up its form, what happens? Right? Out of that act of ultimate generosity, suns and moons and stars, life happens. And we, because we're made of star stuff, we are also hardwired that way, to be cosmically generous, to give ourselves away, right? That is a longing that's deep in us, to give ourselves away. In whatever forms we are moved and inspired to do so. That's who we are. We are heroes. And that's the word that many of us struggle with, right? It's really easy to externalize, to project, or hero, right? A first responder, a warrior, somebody who places their lives at risk for the sake of someone else or a cause, right? Easy to see over there. The pandemic maybe supported us to expand that a little bit so that we now include healthcare professionals, maybe even grocery store clerks, right? Who made huge sacrifices in their personal lives to keep the rest of us fed and provided for. But what about the rest of us? And let me suggest a way of living that is nothing less than heroic, right? To go through life skimming the surface, right? Buffeted by life's pushes and pulls. Anybody can do that. To go inside, to do this work of discovering who we are authentically and expressing that, nothing less than heroic. To react when somebody says something that we interpreted as being hurtful, punching them back, splattering them against the wall metaphorically. Right? Anybody can do that. To pause, feel the ouch, and ask, go deep. I said, what was my role in that? Right? Why does it hurt so much? Because maybe Reverend Pam was there too, and she didn't take it personally. Right? She wasn't bothered by whatever that person did. It really hurt. Why does it hurt me so much? What are my patterns? What are my triggers? Heroic work, and very worthwhile, because when we do that work, the outcome of that, the gift of that is freedom. Freedom. So infinitely worthwhile work, and nothing less than heroic. And that's who we are. We are connected to all of life. Right? We talk about the human races, the 4 races. There's not genetic variation to warrant being considered a different race. Our DNA, 99.99999% identical. So we're really one race. We share 98.4% of our DNA with chimps. 50% of our DNA identical to bananas. That's who we are, right? Interconnected. True to the unity values, unity on the base values, we are expressions of the sacred, right? And we're not going to take a lot of time on this now. I know that it's something that many of you live and study, but if we, like the religions claim, that God is omnipresent, well, don't tell me that God is everywhere except for right here. Right? And if we're going to take that a little further, don't tell me that God is everywhere except for the genitals and the bedroom. Right? So that's a whole other discussion about sacred sexuality. We don't have time for that today, but just putting that seed in there. So it's either omnipresent or it's not. That's who we are. In ancient Greek, the word temenos meant temple. And in many spiritual traditions, the body is considered a temple. And a temple is something that holds, in which the presence of the sacred resides. So what if we started to treat these amazing little mini carbon-based spaceships that allow us to be here in third-dimensional reality? What if we started treating them with the honor of a temple? What would we put into them? What not? What situations would we place them in? Which situations not? Right? And approaching all of this not from a place of dogma and what's right and what's wrong, approaching this from a place of what feels right to this right here. And letting it be a journey of discovery, a journey of discovering that self-expression and that authentic self, rather than be worried about some punitive ending for this journey of experience. It's not about that. It's about giving expression to that unique human potential and figuring out what works for us and what doesn't feel right for us. And that too is who we are. And we're also channels of divine juiciness, right? Juiciness, if you think about it, is our natural state. Whether we think about it both in terms of evolution, or whether you think about each one of our original points, we were born in juiciness, right? We are juicy beings. So, how do you express your juiciness? When do you feel the juiciness of life? Right? Is it fishing? Is it surfing? Is it playing music? Is it dancing? Is it making love? It doesn't matter. Right? Those are all details, secondary. What is important is that we reconnect with that juiciness, however we express it. That's where we get to express that unique human potential in unique ways and surprise the universe. Right? That's another concept from The Universe is a Green Dragon by Brian Swin. He talks about how we get to surprise the universe. What a concept. Like, what a concept if we brought that to each of our lives. How am I going to surprise existence in expressing all of who I am? Right? Rather than doing everything that we've done up to now, rather than doing what our parents told us that we should do, or society or culture, etc. Right? We get to make those choices. And we get to express that unique human potential. Ultimately, it's our choice. Right? Nobody can do it for us. Nobody else can do it for us. So, I ask you now, will you commit to be you? Right? Full asked. Will you commit to be you no matter what? Raise your hand, stand up if you do. Great. Thank you. And how do we do that? Right? That is our universal call. That is the universal demand. And how do we do it? One last thing about authenticity. The etymology of the word comes from the Greek autos, which means self, and hentes, which means a doer. So that means we have to act, right? This is not going to happen in a vacuum. Talking about it here, right? We have to go out there and be ourselves and be authentic. And you know what? It's all hands on deck. So come to the workshop this afternoon. We're going to talk more specifically about how to do that. Thank you. Yeah.